Speaking of wrap up, we had the penultimate episode of Invincible.
We did. The Invincible War.
Very good.
It was.
This episode and last week's episode on a back-to-back run, kind of cooking with some gas there. If they pull off a three-peat here of like all-time episodes, we might be very angry. We have to wait for another season.
Yes, though we know that they're probably going to get to us quicker.
Yeah, we know they're now 8 targeting a yearly cadence.
Yeah,
so we actually have like something to roughly look forward to now, which is nice.
But yeah, it was such a good episode. Obviously, we knew from the teaser the week before and like what people had talked about. We knew the Invincible War was coming, and we'd known to only really expect it to be one episode long, which I think was perfectly fine. I loved
it. Worked really well.
I don't know if this was how it was done in the comics, but the whole doing the day 1, day 2.
I believe it was similar to that in the comic. Obviously I've not read it, but I believe it was done similarly.
It was a really good way of showing this like how progressively this was going to shit. Like things were getting worse. And like using that as a tool to keep it moving, like keep the intensity going. I think was really good. All the different versions were really cool to see.
Shout out oh fuck, what's his name? Stephen Ewan. His variety of voice acting for the different marks was very impressive.
To sell each one.
To make them a bit distinctive.
Giving them like enough of a tweak with their like using their personalities and stuff, like really sold these different versions of Mark. I mean, we have to address rest in peace to our boy Rex.
Last week was a really rough week.
That moment, they didn't have to hit us so hard. With like, not long after he literally said this is the happiest he's ever been. He's finally happy in his life. And then the moment that he sacrificed, like there's music, just that whole sequence put together. Him going, my whole fucking skeleton, and then he just blows them. But like, I know
in 24 hours we lost Foggy Nelson and Rex explode, and I don't think the world is ever going to be able to recover from that.
It's also like it sunk in that in that moment I remembered us back in, I think it was season 2, when you'd said comic fans were like, oh, you guys aren't ready for this like character arc that Rex is going to go on and this redemption. I didn't realize redemption was going to end in sadness.
Unfortunately, in comic books, any kind of redemption tends to end badly because you get redeemed before the fall.
Yeah. I just wish we'd had a bit more time before the fall.
Yeah, I'm going to miss Rex a lot. He was very quickly becoming like my favorite character.
Especially this season, he's changed to be like self-aware and make jokes about, oh no, I don't make those jokes anymore, and that sort of stuff.
Just
was like
actively trying to be a better person.
Yeah.
Do you know what it was? Ironically, he realized that being a superhero didn't make him a good person. Like in season 1, he's very much like, I'm saving people every day. I must be a good person. And he was like, oh, wait, no. Yeah, I'm using my powers to help people, but that doesn't make me a good person. I'm going to try and be a good person. And he started actively trying to do that. Even to the point where Ray was getting ready to go and fight when the Invincible War kicked off. He was like, oh, you retired from this. Very bad etiquette to just come back on day 1.
Yeah.
He was like, let the heroes do the hero thing. You decided you don't want to do this anymore. I'm going to respect that decision, but you've got to respect that decision as well.
Yeah. It's just, it hits. I saw people being like, oh, Mark didn't seem very upset that he found out his best friend died.
I don't think he's had a chance to process anything yet.
This is the thing. I don't think he was just so in mental shock. And we saw that with the case of like, he stopped fighting and just sat by Eve's side because he was like, and he used the excuse of, oh, well, they're going to try and hurt me, so they're going to come here for her. And it's like, okay, you're kind of just telling yourself that a little bit. I think like this is jumping around, but like the ending when Conquest shows up and he's like, you have picked the worst time because I need an excuse to hit someone. I think he's gonna, this next episode when they're having this fight, we're gonna get some of that emotion shown about Rex dying and it coming out in like a rage way.
Mm-hmm.
So I think the people that were like, someone who just lost their best friend is not really showing much emotion. This show's doing a bad job. Like, pipe down. Like, give it a chance.
He's let's put this in context for Mark. Yeah, over the course of 3 days, he's watched a lot of the world be destroyed by people who share his face.
Mm-hmm.
He's watched his girlfriend be put in a coma by someone who shares his face.
Yeah.
He's had to put his little brother in the firing line to fight these dudes because that's the only way the Earth had a fucking hope. And for most of that time, he didn't know if his mother was alive.
Yeah, and then right at the end of it, he's trying to help clean up, and suddenly Powerplex is like back on his anti-Mark trip again and goes mental, to which then the public are all looking kind of going, yeah, this feels weird that isn't the person that did all this, but he looks like who did. Like, even the
Yeah, that's what I was
world's
talking about.
like
last week, you're like, well, they'll
it.
know it's a different dude. I'm like, yeah, they'll know it's a different dude, but if you see someone who is the spitting image of the person who murdered your entire family, you're still not going to have a nice feeling about it.
No, like they did a good job of showing even the other heroes and stuff were kind of like unsure in like how they wanted to react. Like, everyone is very much, we know he didn't do it, but like it doesn't feel right watching.
Exactly. I mean, we saw it when he arrived at the prison. You had them superheroes and go, look, there's another one, and they just fucking ran him down because they know that they're Viltrumites. They don't have time to work out. They need to swing first and ask questions later just to have a chance of surviving.
Yeah, no, it was very interesting to see how that all rolled out. I thought it was very cool. Was it the episode before Mark had gone to the Pentagon, or the one before that? When Mark we talked about it, I think, last week. So we saw Mark smash into the Pentagon, and we kind of saw Powerplex's opinion of like, oh, he just got to walk in here and walk out like nothing. And we were like, Mark did a lot. Like, he just punched through all the robots, and we then cut to what had been happening at the Pentagon on like day 2. Cecil's like bloody, like, Pentagon destroyed. The whole tech wing's gone, apparently. And it's like, oh, this is what would happen if Mark actually went off the rails. And they couldn't they would struggle to stop him.
Well, also got to remember, they did state that our mark was the strongest of all of these marks based on what they could garner.
Mm-hmm.
So, our mark would have done more damage.
Yeah. And it was like, I think having that when like 2 episodes or whatever were just in what our mark had done, then makes you go, oh, fucking hell, he held back, because realistically he could have done way worse. Mm-hmm. I liked that Cecil then told the agent guy, he was like, go front line. He let him go to the front lines because he's like, I'm a robot, I'm made to die.
Like, that change in his behavior from finding out he's a robot last season and being like, this is fucking crazy, I can't believe you've done this, and then coming to acceptance, he's like, I'm basically unkillable, send me the fuck out there, let's fuck some Viltrumites up.
Yeah, that acceptance of, okay, now I remember everything, and he's come to terms with it, and it's like, okay, I'm just going to lean into this. And Cecil obviously now respecting that.
So there's one thing you won't have noticed, which a lot of people kind of enjoyed.
Okay.
So Powerplex is voiced by Aaron Paul.
Yes.
Who was obviously in Breaking Bad.
Oh, he plays
Jesse Pinkman.
Oh, no, go on.
So the voice actor for Brit was also in Breaking Bad.
Oh.
And the role he played was an enforcer for like the main drug dealer that they worked for a little while. And then when that drug dealer died, he became like their muscle.
Okay.
And a lot of his job was keeping Jesse in line when he was going off the rails.
Right.
So people found it quite funny that in the brand new universe, you had him playing a character who cuffed Powerplex
Okay.
and threw him away. People thought that was quite funny.
And I wasn't sure if you were going to say that the voice actor for Conquest
Oh,
is
this is another cool one.
I forget his
It's
name,
Jeffrey
but
Dean Morgan.
yes, who played Negan in The Walking Dead.
Yes.
And I like at this point, this is not a spoiler. If you haven't seen
No, it's
Walking
not.
Dead, sorry, but we're about to. But Stephen Ewan's character Glenn got killed by Negan with a baseball bat.
Brutally, if I
Baseball bat
understand
to the
correctly.
head. Yes.
Yeah. And he was like a fan favorite at the time, so it was like a gut punch.
Yes. And it was similar to like Invincible, where the comic fans were like, we know what's coming now that Negan's been introduced, and fans aren't ready, and fans were not ready. I would love, and I doubt, I bet this doesn't happen, but I said it to my roommate because he'd noticed this, like the voice actor thing. I was like, it'll be so funny if some point in this fight, Mark baseball bats him in the head. Like just to have the whole like loop round, just like he finishes off Conquest with a baseball bat to the head, or like a giant steel beam like a baseball bat swing, like just tie the loop.
Yeah. I know a lot of people are excited for that. Once this is all over, they're like, okay, so what's going to be round 3?
True,
Are they going to be in a video game against each other? Is that going to be the decider? But phenomenal episode. It was really cool seeing all of the different marks.
Yeah.
Seeing how Angstrom survived and how messed up Mark left Angstrom.
Yes.
And it's kind of weird because Mark should feel good because he's now been vindicated. He didn't kill anyone. But at the same time, he doesn't feel any better because he fucking wishes he had killed him.
Yeah, because now he's like, if I had killed him, none of this would have happened. And then he's escaped again. So now he's like, as far as he's aware, he's still alive and he could come back and do this even worse a third time.
And I mean, he might do. It depends what the mechanics do with him.
I feel like they're going to absolutely fuck him up. Because they didn't seem happy with him. So I think they're going to fully experiment on him. And
that's going to get a bit rogue.
I don't know if he comes back from... I don't think we find out about that again.
Maybe. Just like a hellish landscape ending rather than us knowing what happens next.
It also would be like they then have this thing of Mark and like forever they're going to be like, we think he's alive. Like they're always going to be on edge of like, is he going to come back again?
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, we know this next episode is going to be a hell of a fight between him and Conquest.
I'm very excited for it. I think it's going to be interesting. And it's definitely going to leave us in a feeling of, holy shit, what now? Because it is the last episode of the series. We're going to have to wait a year till we find out anything else.
I am concerned once again, though, does Oliver try and step in and help? And
yeah. Oliver's also had a mini redemption arc here. As we've already discussed, redemption arcs don't end well.
Yes.
But Oliver stepped up big time.
He did.
He even threw his mum's logic back in her face, and she was like, "You can't go, you'll get hurt." He's like, "Did you not say my powers are there to help the people who can't help themselves? I've got to go."
Yeah, I love that she went from being mum trying to protect a kid, and then it was like, okay, I need to remember that this kid is a Viltrumite. Technically doesn't necessarily need my protecting in the same way.
Exactly.
But yeah, I am worried for Oliver in this last. I hope he makes it out of the season, but
especially bearing in mind we know that the Viltrumites are like they're like space racists, right? They don't believe in any crossbreeding. They allow Mark because humans, like biologically, they deem close enough.
Yes, and Mark also because of who Mark's dad was, and Mark showed strength enough that they're like, okay.
Exactly. But as we remember from season 2, Nolan said to Mark, "It's like they will not respect this species. They'll view your brother as like an abnormality that needs to be destroyed." There's a real chance that Conquest spots him, realizes what he is,
Hmm.
and makes a beeline to just exterminate this like affront to Viltrumite life or whatever.
Yeah, or like use it, like essentially kills him in front of Mark to be like, look, you've been given chances to get this planet in order. This is your punishment, and does something brutal.
But either way, I think it's gonna be pretty fucking awesome.
Me too. I think it's going to be a good episode.